let's go over a couple of examples how you might organize and structure your Figma. So there's a couple of approaches I have in here, and I kind of divided them into three potential groups that you might find yourself in. One is working at a product company, so either like a startup or a scale up that already has different sub products, maybe even, and the designers are organized in different teams. Or an agency setup where basically you're working in a team with developers and project managers, but there are also other designers working on different projects for different clients, or the same client, it doesn't really matter. And then finally, either like a really small studio setup where there's just a couple of designers, or you're freelancing. And I think like none of these are actual rules, but just a couple of things that I've noticed working at different companies with different ways of organizing files and what worked at all of them. Now, just to stress out, I didn't work at Spotify, but they're the best example that comes to mind when you're thinking of like a product team, because they would have something like a web application team, mobile app team, or specific design team for Android and specific design team for iOS. They would have the desktop apps. One of them is for Windows, the other one's for Mac. So there's like a couple of different products that they're managing under the umbrella of Spotify. So I'm just using them as an example. It doesn't mean that their team is working like this. I don't have an insight into that, but I'm guessing based on everything that I know with Figma and other similar organizations of how they set up things. So when it comes to their plan, they're most likely an organization plan, which allows them to have multiple teams, and then those teams can create different projects based on their needs. So I'm guessing they most likely have something like a web team, a mobile app team. Maybe those are divided into two teams as well, desktop teams, or it's just one desktop team. So again, an educated guess in a sense. And the design systems team. All of those are then treated as different teams. So that means that one person might be in multiple teams or just in one team, depending on the way that the team is structured and the company is structured. And then when you look at what the team actually has, they most likely have projects set up based on what type of a project inside the team they might be working on. So for example, if you're in a web team, you might be working either on the homepage side or the web application. And then when you enter one of those, like a homepage, you might have other files inside, and those files might be like a particular section name. Maybe one person is working on the actual like homepage, while someone else is working on the FAQ page, and that FAQ page is a different file. So I hope that makes sense. When it comes to the way that the pages might be organized in files, most likely there's some kind of a change log so that anyone who enters knows when changes happen and why. There might be some kind of an overview of like who is working in this team, when were the how are the responsibilities organized in a sense, and the pages might be like one is ready for development, which means that everything connected to this particular page or section on the homepage of the web page is ready for developers and kind of annotated and again easy to understand for someone who didn't design it. There might be something under review where a product manager or a project manager might be in kind of looking into things, and that's one thing. There might be design in progress where this designer or other designers are collaborating, but none of those things are really ready to be reviewed yet. There might be a research page that contains either all of the research insights inside, or maybe it has links to different resources that you might use if you're working on this particular section of the page. And again, a lot of times you're going to have something like an archive page, just to have quick access to some things that were maybe decided against but might be referenced in the future or something. So that's one approach that you can structure this. Again, doesn't have to be it. Most likely it's not 100% like that, but I'm guessing it's really close. When it comes to agencies, the way that things are usually structured is you might have an organization plan or you might have team plans. Most often it's just like a team plan where you would have a project for each client, but you might also be on an organization page plan if you have bigger teams, like, I don't know, 20, 30 designers in a product team and 10 to 15 designers in web team, and you have like 50 plus designers. You might want to make a split in that sense, that some of the designers are focusing on UX UI work when it comes to products, and the other ones are just working on websites that are more like presentational. So if we take that into account, the most common structure I've seen is having a project based per project or client. And the way that files tend to be structured is if there is some kind of a library, be it a design system, a kit with components or whatever, that might be one file. If there was research done, some research insights might be in some kind of a Figma with like different personas and things in there. If someone is just going through an exploration, maybe there's like a mood board Figma file as well. One file is usually done for designing, where multiple designers might have their own pages or something, and one file is usually shared with a client. So when things are ready to be presented, that's where they end up being. And if the client reviews and approves things, they might be moved to something like a ready for development file. Again, you're trying to kind of think of the different steps in your design process, and you're organizing file on that side, not based per feature. And when it comes to how a file is organized, I've seen two most common approaches. Again, that doesn't mean they are the only ones, but are some ways how to organize files. Like one of them is just a list of pages, and each page is a feature. Or if the project is something that's kind of going through continuous reviews or something, maybe things are structured by dates. So like you can easily know when something was done, and as you're moving forward and forward to the date that was latest. And the structure I've seen most is like the oldest date is on the bottom, the newest date is on the top. You're kind of seeing the progress in updates as they're being done. So it again depends, and those are not the only ways to do it, but the most common things I've seen in different agencies. When it comes to small studios or like freelancing setups, most likely it's either like per project or per client again. And when you move into files within a project, it's either something like a library, design file where you're working, a handoff file, be it for the client or for the development team. Again, if you're a freelancer or a really small design studio, you don't have in-house development team. So you might have a handoff file that is kind of like, oh, client approved everything, that's ready for development. That's the file that's kind of annotated, ready, prototypes are inside, and so on and so on. And maybe if there are some kind of Figma workshop files or something. And when it comes to the way that the file might be structured, usually it's again pretty similar to this, either by feature or by dates as updates happen, so that it's really easy for anyone who opens it up to see the progress. Again, this part is very collaborative, and clients tend to comment on things. So why you would want to organize something by date is if you want to have the progress of comments and update requests and everything kind of organized and saved. So in the future, you can easily reference previous comments without having to without losing them by erasing or removing some screens. While when it comes to the feature, it's really easy because then you can just have like the entire project set up that way, and the features are basically organized in some kind of a visual progression where you know that what's the latest section and what's the newest section. You can still have archive of your comments. Now, when it comes to things like dates, that means that you would have to use some kind of frames to structure your features so that you can see all of those updates in there again. So like that's a couple of ways that you can approach organizing your designs, and hopefully one of these feels like it's the right one for you. And if some of these things you want to implement in your process and kind of change up the way you organize files because of this, I'm going to be really happy. So hopefully that was a helpful overview of potential ways how to organize your Figma.